just a little heads up here. You're going to notice in this video that my CPU load running at 32 and 16 kilohertz was around 44%. But this whole video was shot at the 32 and 16 kilohertz. I did notice a few days later I had a couple of tiny desyncs. The quad didn't come screaming out of the sky or anything crazy, just a little twitch. So I did end up dropping it back to 16 and 16 kilohertz, and it dropped my CPU load back down to 7%. I would venture to say Betaflight 3.2 is coming out soon, and with all the new 32 kilohertz flight controllers and ESCs coming out, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Boris has probably tackled that issue, and that CPU load won't be so in the next Betaflight build. But I just wanted a heads up, give you guys a heads up on that. Alright, so let me show you my my setup. A couple little quirks with this Matek F405 FC PDB combo ribbon cable connect dealy guy here. Pretty cool, pretty clean build. Tons of info on the Matek. If you go to the Matek, just Google Matek F405. It's got everything you can think of on there. So here's the setup. Couple little quirks I found that weren't on the page. Now it comes pre-flashed with Betaflight 3.1.7, and the ports were already configured. UART2 for serial RX, this was already configured. The only thing I did is on UART4 TX4, right? I enabled my TBS smart audio to there, the white wire from your TBS if you're using a TBS for the smart audio, so that you can use it through the OSD, or if you're using the Tramp, which is the other one that can do it, you just go into the little pull down here and select Tramp instead. But it works on the TX UART4 configuration. D-Shot 600. I prefer motor stop. Whatever you guys prefer, that's up to you, but that's what I have. Obviously, we set it for I'm using S-Bus, so I set it for S-Bus. Whatever bus you guys are driving, that's the bus you can set it for. Turn the VBAT on, and the voltage scale on the VBAT, the best that I found, it comes default at 110, but 106, 107 is a lot more accurate. 107 was a lot more accurate for me. 107 was actually just a fuzz high, which is okay, which means I'll come down in the safe zone. You know what I'm saying? And this is configurable through the Betaflight OSD too. So one thing I would suggest is, if you haven't used the Betaflight OSD yet, or you're new to it, or just using it, go through that whole thing at home on a home screen or in your goggles or whatever, and see all the parameters that you can set up and can't set up in it, so that you know what you can and can't do in the field. Pretty much the only thing I've found that I can't configure in the field is the filters, between PT1 and biquad. But quite honestly, I haven't found a whole lot of difference in performance between the filter being on or off, so whatever floats your boat. Turn your current meter on, set to 179. This info is all in the on the Matek page, but I'm just gonna shoot it in there so you know. And I'm running 32 kilohertz and 16 kilohertz. I'm using Flycolor Raptor ESCs, and they seem to be handling it just fine. Of course, down here, turn your OSD on and your black box, and whatever else you want, your SD card, PIDs. All I did was set my rates in here the way I like them.
I fly my acro at 1,000 degrees. My race setup's a lot different. It's about half of that. But this is the way I like my rates. But other than that, it's all default PIDs. Just my rates in there. The OSD. One thing on the OSD I found, I'm using a Runcam Swift with the, like I said, with the TBS Unify Pro. So I don't know if other ones are different, but I had to set this to auto to get everything to work right. I tried, and it's actually an NTSC camera, and that didn't, the OSD didn't show up for some reason when I set that. I don't know if it's this board or the TBS or whatever. PAL didn't work either, but auto works fine, so I just set it on auto. And then you can configure this however you want. Now on this Matek board, you do have to upload the font. So you just click on the font manager, very easy, and upload font. Click upload font, whichever fonts you want. So we'll do it real quick here. I like using the Betaflight font. It's kind of cool. It's a little thicker, but not too big. Give it a second here. Alright. So there's that. And then, like I said, configure the screen however you prefer. Now in the CLI, there's a couple things. Digital idle. Set digital idle to 5 to 6.5. That will help with desync issues. So just type in get digital and it'll come up. You'll see the digital idle. You'll set digital to 5. That's easy enough. I also I like to set my min check and max checkpoints in here. Well, here, let me show you real quick. So first we're going to go get digital. I hope you guys can see that. Get digital, right? Digital idle percent equals 5. So you type in set digital underscore idle underscore percent space equals space 5. Or, 6.5 or whatever you prefer. Somewhere between 5 and 6.5 is what they recommend as the best. And then get check. Oops, that's the wrong button. Alright, see there, you type in get check and you see my min check is at 105 and my max check is at 1995. This keeps any dead zones from the top or bottom of my my throttle throw. So set min underscore check space equals space 105. Same thing, set max underscore check space equals space 1995. And that's about it in the CLI. That's all I said in there. And of course save. And that's it. That's the setup I do on it. Now the one thing I would recommend in the on the page, the Matek page, it shows the VTX being hooked to the PDB and the camera running off the flight controller. I hooked them both to the PDB, the power, and then of course the video in, video out through the flight controller via OSD. But I'm using the TBS 5 volt, so I put that on the 5 volt out on the PDB, and I put the camera on the 10 volt out. Because that 10 volt out is filtered. It's filtered for the VTX. So this way I have everything filtered through the PDB, and I don't have that extra power running through that little ribbon cable. They say that flight controller does put on the 5 volt, it does put out 3 amps. But if I don't need to pull 3 amps through that ribbon cable to that flight controller, it's got to be a positive thing, I would think. Y'all can do whatever the hell you want, obviously, but that's the way I did it. I just hooked the powers straight to the PDB because there's plenty of BEC outs on that PDB to do it that way. So everything seems to be working fine on this little guy. So let's take her out and give her a rip and see how the 32 kilohertz and 16 kilohertz runs. Oh, and one other thing. I'm trying out these, hang on one second here. Trying out these new K motors from FURC. There's a box around here somewhere. Here we go. The K motor. These are the 2205.5 version, 2400 kV. I will say the build quality on these are amazing. They are smooth as can be. So let's see how they fly. They have like the no bottom thing going on that most people are doing now. They came with their own titanium screws. They got nice big bearings in them with a nice big bearing retainer spacer in there to run nice and smooth. So let's see how these babies perform. Alright, so let's take her out to the field and see what's up. Alright, so now Scooter Hair, me and my faithful companion. So now, right, we got all that set up. So the first thing we're going to do, since we have the filter, low pass filter off, set to what is it, PT1 instead of biquad, we're just going to take it for a little hover on stock PIDs and check the motors and see if they're hot. Number one. If that's the case, then we have to turn the filter back on if they're hot. And I brought my laptop just for that. Other than that, don't really need it anymore with the Matek OSD, with the Betaflight OSD on this Matek board, or on any board that has a Betaflight OSD. Alright, so let's check it out. Chopping weeds. All right, we're good. Motors are still cool. It's flying pretty darn good on stock PIDs, I must say. So we're not going to do anything too crazy here though, because this is definitely concrete explosion area. There's been a few like I showed you guys, I just set this to 32 and 16 kilohertz, and there's been a few reports of desyncs at that, but I'm hoping because I set the demag and stuff up the way I did, we won't have that problem. Let's go ahead and just fly around here a little bit and see how it feels, because the motors are fine. We're good with that. We're good with the filter off, so that's cool. Carry on.
Alright, so when I'm tuning, I like to do a lot of big split S's. For me, it gives me a real good feel of where my P's and D's are at, and I give it a good bump on the throttle. You know, I come down nice and smooth and then bump the throttle at the bottom and not slam it all the way up, but kind of go smooth through the throttle curve, and that way I can really feel my PIDs. I can, you know, it even gives me a good sense of where my eye's at on how it's tracking when I go through the fall and come back up. You'll notice a little shudder here and there, but that's okay. That That's part of that is I'm making that come out of the quadcopter. I don't care how good your tune is. I can make any quadcopter shutter. And it may not even necessarily be a PID adjustment. That could be a motor timing thing. But it really doesn't matter. Because in the next clip you'll see I won't have, when I'm actually piloting the quad, there won't be so much shutter.
All right, well, that was easy. That's stock PIDs, and even dropping it hard there through its own prop wash, it just had one little teeny shutter. Motors are just barely warm. So much for that PID tuning session I was going to show you. I don't think I'm going to do much of this thing. I don't think I'm going to do anything at all for a while. I mean, it is new, so after flying for like a week or so, when the bearings start to seat in and the grease loosens up a little bit, I may need to go back in and retune the PIDs. But I don't have to sweat that like I used to with the Betaflight OSD. You know, I can do that on the fly at any time, anywhere, no computer, no nothing, which is fantastic. But anyway, there we go. That's the Matek F405 with the PDB combo ribbon cable deal on stock PIDs with the low pass filter off. Now I may go in and try to shut the notch filters down too later and see how that works out, but I don't know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I'm saying? Flies pretty dang good. What you doing there, dog? What you doing down there? What you doing? You got yourself hooked on the corner. Come here. There you go. There you go. There you go. You're a bad dog. Here's a bad dog. Nice. Nice. I came down to like 15.2 at 3 minutes of flight time. Max current was 94 amps. Minimum battery pull was 13.7. That must have been during a big punch. Oh man, the numbers are freaking fantastic. What? Yes, sirree. I'm liking it. Thank you. A shout out to Chris from FURC for these motors. They are freaking butter, baby. So I'm talking about butter. Homemade butter.